Hey guys, good evening. I hope I'm pretty much audible. Apologies for a slight delay today, guys. I was stuck in something personal and I got really delayed in that. But thank you so much for being patient. Right, so I hope people have started joining in. Finishing up the SpaCy which we started yesterday, and we'll be finishing up the remaining set of functions which we have. Right, slight delay today, and again, thank you so much for being patient. And let's start with our discussion today. So as always, I'll be monitoring my chat, guys. So if anybody has any concerns regarding anything whatever we have discussed so far, just put up your questions in the chat box, and we'll try to take that. Right. Meanwhile, I again welcome everyone whosoever is part of our chat today. Right. So we'll be finishing up the SpaCy functions which we started yesterday. Right. So we'll be finishing up that. And apologies again for being slightly late today. So I was stuck in something personal, and I got a bit late with that. Cool. So again, guys, just on a note, I'm monitoring my chat. If you have any questions, any concerns regarding whatsoever we have discussed so far, right? So just put up your question in the chat, and we'll try to take that. Right. Cool. So let's start quickly. Let's start. So let's have a quick round of introduction as always. So my name is Arpit Jain, and I'm a senior data scientist myself. I have almost 9 years of industry experience. Along with that, I'm also a motivational speaker. So I've been into varied industries, be it automobile manufacturing, telecommunication, banking, finance, and all that. So you have any concerns regarding any particular domain, you can ask me your question, or along with that, you can ask a question regarding your job, data science, or whatsoever. So you can always speak up. Great, so we can take up your question. Also, from the subjects perspective, we have the plan is to have 3 different playlists. So Python, SQL, data science. We have already started Python about 3 months back, and now we are doing the problem solving in Python. We have already done quite a lot of things there, and we are doing the solve problems from HackerRank as well as LeetCode. Likewise on SQL, we're doing the same. So we have covered the topics, and now we are doing the problem solving. In fact, tomorrow 10 a.m. guys. So we have the live session for SQL. So as you know, the weekend's gonna be for SQLs. So tomorrow 10 a.m. We're gonna start the SQL again. So we're gonna be solving the premium questions, right? So as I promised, we'll be doing the premium questions from LeetCode from tomorrow onwards, right? So please do not forget to join from tomorrow at 10 a.m. Okay. Cool. Data science, we have already covered 3 topics. Data science, we finished visualization and NLP using NLTK, so Natural Language Toolkit. We have started SpaCy, right? So SpaCy is again an extension of high-level API available for our natural language processing. So we did our first class yesterday, so we'll be finishing our remaining set of functionalities today. So we'll be winding up with SpaCy today. And also along with that, if you have any questions regarding anything also, so you can always put up your question, right? So now with this, let's time for a quick promotion. There's a code right in front of your screen, which is Python 10. You're going to use this code for your free Relevel bonus sample task paper, right? So what is Relevel, guys? So just a quick introduction again. So many times candidates do miss out on the great opportunities due to multiple reasons, right? And it could be they don't have a better degree, or might be because of the poor networking. Although the resumes with which they are applying is not really standing out, so there are at least 100 other applicants for the same job, right? So there might be something missing in your resume, some keyword, or something which is totally beyond your control also. And also along with that, you're applying to a number of jobs, but still not getting even a single interview call, right? So very practical problem. Almost everybody faces this. But again, this could be a potential reason that you're not getting your job, right? And to cater these issues only, Relevel has been introduced by Unacademy, which is actually the India's first test hiring platform by Unacademy, and helping you to get your dream job. Right. So, hey, great, Abbas. Thank you so much for joining in. Also, along with that, here you're purely dependent on your skills and talent, right? So, you're not dependent on any sort of degree or people networking. So, purely you're based out of talent. So, if you're skilled enough, knowledgeable enough, you should be getting a job. So, how does it work? It's more of an assessment, right? So, here you are going through an assessment, more like an examination. So, the only expectation from you is to get the best score out of this examination, right? So, that's it. So if you're skilled enough, you should be getting the good score, right? And that's what you'll be getting your job with. Cool. So it's that plain simple. So I mean, once you've given the test, the companies will start reaching out to you actually based on your score, right? Also, there are certain other benefits involved if you participate in the Relevel testing platform. That includes at least 50 plus companies, including top startups and even the unicorns like ENY, Upgrad, Cred, Razorpay, Urban Company. They hire directly from the Relevel platform, so they have the internal tie-ups with the Relevel platform. Also, at least 1,000 plus open job positions right now across 3 different portfolios: business, front end, the back end development, right? Multiple sub roles also available within these. Uh, Also, this is completely online, guys. So you can take this from the comfort of your home. So you're not going to be physically present anywhere to be part of this test. Also, this is completely free. So you're not paying even a single penny to attempt this test. To be honest, it's completely free. The only expectation from you would be to finish the entire test in a single day time, and that day could be of your choice, right? And once the I would say the test has been done, so scores are revealed. So generally, you'll be getting contacted by the companies. So it's again, as I told you, it's more of an assessment, right? So there is a qualifying score as well. So you're expected to get at least 70% of marks to get your Relevel profile. But in any unfortunate situation, if you're unable to get that score, right, you can always reattempt the test, but that can happen only after 30 days of your first attempt, right? So be mindful of that. Again, so with this, if you are on the other side, so if you are one of the top scorers in any particular category in a month, you will be awarded also with some exciting goodies like MacBook, iPhone, and all that, right? So this is again a good charm for you. So with this Relevel, you are in a unique position to invite interest from the companies instead of you hunting for your own opportunities, right? It's more like once you have given the test, just sit back and relax. The companies will start reaching out to you. Cool. So registration is also quite easy on the Relevel platform, guys. So it's more like the link is there in the YouTube description. So go through that link. So it will ask you to choose the test of your choice, right? So there are 3 major broad tests: business development, front end, and the back end development. As I was talking about the roles in the business development, you have the sales associate, relationship manager, and all that. Likewise, in the front end, you have Angular developer, web developer. Backend, you have backend engineer, data engineer. So depending on your skill set, the requirement, the knowledge you have, you can choose a test. The next would be to choose the slot. So slots are limited. It's a beta platform anyway. So I would suggest you to book the slots fast. So once you have done that, the last would be to fill up your demographics, like the full name, email ID, birth year, current state, along with your gender. So at last, you have an option to fill up the promo code, which for this you can use the code Python 10. So if you use the code Python 10, you're going to unlock your bonus free sample test paper. So if you have used the code Python 10, guys, at the right place, that's how the practice tab should look like. So you have the practice tab and the sample test paper from where you can download the sample paper and be ready with your actual tests, right? So that'll be having this replica set of questions to be prepared for actual examination. Cool. So guys, do register for the platform today. It's anyway free of cost, and in any circumstance, if you're actively looking for a job, I think it's a win-win situation for you anyway, right? So do try it for once. If you feel that you're not getting benefited, you can always take your decisions elsewise later, right? So it's not a problem anyway. Also with that, guys, do join the official Telegram channel, which is actually talking about your upcoming schedules and the classes. So do not miss to join this channel. It'll be a one-place stop for you for all of your queries, right? So that's very simple. With this, guys, do like and share the video at least. So if you feel that you're getting benefited, so at least do like and share the video. That's the least I can expect from you. So because everybody is busy with their own time frames, and if somebody is giving you some time, at least do appreciate that, right? So if you feel that you're getting benefited, do at least like and share the video, right? With this, guys, we are into our content slide. So we're talking about the SpaCy functionalities. So we did talk about the initial functions. I'm not sure if everybody else was part of this chat. So I'll just give you a brief recap. So what we discussed so far, and then I'm just going to wrap up the SpaCy functionalities, right? So that's only one day today. So please bear with me with the lectures of the theoretical concepts. I understand sometimes theories becomes a little tricky to take in. I understand that. I was a student myself. So just bear with me. So we'll try to finish the SpaCy functionality, but trust me, it's a very good function. So if you are into data science, right, and if you're working on the NLP, which is the hot cake these days, right? So many of the companies are actually looking for the NLP experts, and they're looking for 2 things. So they're looking for experts in NLTK and also the SpaCy, right? So this is the very hot selling cake in the market these days. So very good skill set to have. If you can master this, definitely you know how to implement the NLP techniques in Python, right? So that's how you're gonna get your job. It's a very good and interesting and very important, I would say, functionality available for NLP, right? So let's quickly take that. Again, guys, as always, if anybody has any concerns regarding any of the things which we have discussed so far, right? So do put up your question. We'll try to take that, and I'm monitoring my chat as always. Cool. So let me just bring up the SpaCy content. Just a minute, please. Let me know if my screen is visible somehow. Cool. Great. So here we are on the SpaCy tutorial. We were discussing about the functionalities, the features, a lot of things which is available as a good component of my SpaCy. So just a few, again, a very quick recap, guys. So features, we talked about features. It's very fast, it's very accurate. And there's certain add-ons like you do not do any specific things. Like in NLTQ, remember, we were doing a lot of importing, a lot of things as a separate modules like Pos tagging, my tokenization, my limitization. So we're doing a lot of things, right? Punctuation, spacing and all that. So all of these are different modules in NLTK. But here, SpaCy, what happens as soon as you load up your model, which is nothing but a core model, I'll talk about that. It by default does that. It by default does the thing for you, right? It whenever you just simply load your text, it will actually do everything in the background, and you just keep on calling the results, right? So whatever you want to see as a result, you can just call it. It has already done everything in the background for you. So that's how SpaCy works. It's very simple, very generic, okay, and very user friendly. And and at the same time, the major objective was introducing SpaCy was basically towards developing it fast and accurate, right? Okay, so we have Adnan saying, I have worked with the word to vector, Wang to vector, right, so RNNs, BERT, and SpaCy, but my interaction with many of these have been limited to integration, right? Absolutely. And in fact, see again, all of these are actually very good. And in fact, BERT is also very good. I have used that myself. I have not used Wang to vec. I'm not sure what is that. RNNs, yes, absolutely. But again, see, integration wise, I would say Python is anyway, it's very much friendly. And each of these components are basically coming on top of as a module on Python, right? So SpaCy again is very friendly, right? And trust me, it's very fast. I'm not, if you've used it before, you would have realized how fast it is, right? If you just put in the millions of text, you'll get the results in microseconds, right? So that's how fast it is. And generally, string computation, the text computation is very slow. You might have observed that, right? And this is where it comes very handy. SpaCy does the job for you. Right, so all of these features are very salient features of my SpaCy, right? And here we're talking about three major data structures, okay? So three major data structures, and it's nothing but very simple things, same things which we've already discussed so far. Doc, vocab, span, okay? So there are three major keywords here, doc, vocab, and span. Doc kuch nahi hai, doc basically aapka text hai. So whatever text you feed into your, like a simple text, like my name is Arpit Jain. It's like a text on which you want to do some analysis. Likewise, you have some 10 lines of text, right? So this is nothing but a doc. So once you load the information, the data towards your SpaCy, right? So that particular text is now called as a SpaCy doc. Okay, so that is basically a doc for me. So the text is basically a doc. It's like entire text is nothing but a SpaCy doc for me, right? And likewise in vocab, so each of these individual tokens has some interactive studies, like some lookup tables to find out the dictionary information and all that. So it's basically a vocab for my individual tokens. So that's what vocab is. Span, nothing but I would say a continuation, a slice of my doc element. So like certain tokens bring joined up together for a particular meaning. So I can just do an indexing. So like you do indexing on list or characters. If you do on string on the indexing, right? So you get the characters, like my name is Arpit Jain, right? So if I do string of 0, so I'll get M here, right? So only the first character. But here, if you do an indexing on top of my SpaCy doc, you'll get the first token. So here, indexes means the tokens, and it's very easy. As soon as you load up the model, right, you can see this. So I'm loading up a core model here. So as soon as I'm loading up, this is my core model for English. You can see this EN is for English, and English core web SM. So it's my entire basic model for EN. As soon as I load it, and I just call the first doc, which is nothing but my NLP model of this particular text, and now this is called as my first SpaCy doc. And this SpaCy doc here is nothing but is on this. In fact, everything is already done. As soon as you load up this, is already done. I can just call up the individual functionalities. I can start seeing the results. It's that simple. Everything is already done on top of this, right? Okay, so we have more questions. Still feel confused whether to go for the backend development or proper data science. I would say go with the both, right? So don't go for a proper backend development or neither with the data science. You can actually being a solution architect, or you can be a full stack data scientist where you're doing the integration as well as data science model development. Why you wanna do in different directions? You can actually club this and be a full stack data scientist. Why not, right? Subhash says, hey Arpit, sorry to deviate. I was going through your master's SQL series, okay? Would going through those 30 videos be sufficient for data science prep for SQL, or would you suggest more? I would say, to be honest, that's more than enough for interview preparation, because it covers every single concept which is generally asked in the interviews, right? And I know how it works. So it's for the concept wise, it is more than enough. But yeah, I mean, and then now we are solving the problems, right? So those are basically talking about the problem solving, individual concepts, individual problems, right? So now, more problem you solve, more comfortable you will be. So it's not like there's no limitation in that. But if you ask me 30 questions, 30 videos, there should be enough for your interview preparation. So that's my take. Cool. Coming back here. So can you see this? So now here span is basically nothing but on a doc. I'm slicing it, and every slice is basically my token here. So I can just call whatever slice I want, for example, right? This will be very simple. And here it'll be individual text. So now here, if I do a 0 slice, so basically it's will loading up every single text. If I give like something like this, so 1/1 so it'll be taking from the first token, nothing but my is here, right? So here for every index is nothing but my token by default. Okay, this is very simple. Likewise, also we can call a specialized tokenizer module, although it is doing that token job for me by default. But again, I can still call a additional tokenizer module to have the tokenizer thing done, but it's not really mandatory, but I've just shown you how you can do that. So here in the tokenizer also submodule, we have the tokenizer module which we can load to create it. I've just created a blank module, but again, you can always call it on top of your text, any documentation that's actually plain simple. But again, it's still not very much needed, because I've just shown you because it's still the functionality exists, but by default, you can get it from the SpaCy load module also. Cool. Command line support, Python also I've said SpaCy is very good in the command line support also. In any unfortunate situation, if any of the thing is not working out, you can just switch to a command line and start doing the things, right? So you can create your own Python file and call this Python file on top of your SpaCy. So here, for example, the module load, right? So you can just download the module name here by giving the model name here specifically as an argument. Also, you can do a direct download of the exact model version by giving the -FN direct or -D, right? It's plain simple. Pip arguments to define basically my user level installation permissions or any particular extra which I want to give as top of my pip arguments. I can do that. Help we do have. So it does support a command line functions as well. So that's in that way, many people will be very comfortable in terms of Linux and all that. So it does help you, right? Okay, so problem from HackerRank and LC both are equally good, Subhash. That's it. That's it, right? So yeah, I mean, still I would say even 5 sessions should be enough. But again, more the merrier in terms of practice. Again, my take will still remain the same. Okay, so Rohan says, what is your opinion on working for open source running projects from Hugging Face alongside on my primary job as backend developer? I have started my career in a product-based company. What do you say? What is your opinion on working as for open source running projects from Hugging Face? Yeah, why not do that? Well, it's very good actually. You can always do that. What's the problem in that? Link for the notebook. Yeah, it's I would say proprietary to Unacademy, so I prepared it. So it's still with me. So it's not public, but you can always come back to this video and refer this notebook again. Azim. I'm interested to get in data science domain, but I would like to build my profile in data science. Yes, absolutely. Why not? So you can always build your profile by doing as many projects as you can. That you can always highlight in your resume also. So it does not really matter. So you can always take up the projects from as a freelance, and you can always do that. Why not? Cool. Coming back. So SpaCy also has some top level functionalities, guys. So load. I have already shown you load, so basically loading up a particular modules, and I also I have told you yesterday also, SpaCy does support multiple language support also. So on top of my NLTK, here the language support is really brilliant. So it has almost, I would say, 50-60 languages which is being supported right now on SpaCy. So likewise for English, we have another core web module for other languages as well. So you can always load up those modules and you can just get going with that, right? It's that simple. So along with that, the load, we have the blank. So we can initiate my own model also, and then just keep on calling my additional pipelines, like whatever things I want to perform. So on top of my blank module, right? So I can initialize a blank module also. Info is going to give me the details of the current loaded module. So right, for example, if I've loaded English Core WebSM, it's going to tell me the version detailings of all that. So what all pipelines it involves, you can see this. It has the following taggers, and likewise, it's going to be having certain parsers, and also at last we'll be having limitizers. So we have the limitizer information also. And in the pipeline, you can see we have token to vector, tagger, parser, attribute ruler, limitizer. These are already there in the pipeline. It does that automatically, right? So these things are already in the pipeline of this module, right? So it's already that simple. So it is already doing these things for you. So now as soon as call you SpaCy.explain, it's going to give you the explanation of the following things like POS tag, dependency level, entity type. So for any of the individual taggers, it's going to give you the explanation of that if you're just going to call the explain module on top of the results. I'll show you how you can do that. So basically here, what I'm doing is I'm just loading up the module, right? And for each of these, so now what I've done, just look at this till here. Okay, I've just given the text. So now just imagine that in place of this text, I'm giving some 1 million lines of text. Okay, I'm doing this. For example, it's like 1 million lines of text. Okay, now I'm not doing anything on top of this, right? I'm not doing anything special here. As soon as I load this NLP module and give this NLP as this 1 million lines of text, right? It by default runs all the pipeline which is there in the background, right? And this document, which is my SpaCy document, is already have those details. Now what I'm doing is, look at this. So for word in doc, so basically word kya hai mera yahan pe token hai. So each word is basically a token here, right? So for now, token in documentation, what I'm doing is I'm calling 3 things here. So word, so basically let's keep it as word or token whatsoever. Now I'm calling word.text. So basically I'm saying what is the text. So the actual text of that token. And also calling the tag. So by default, I'm also calling up the tag. So POS tagging, part of speech tagging, you heard about this, right? So the conjunctions, the preposition, the nouns, the pronouns, adverbs, it is already doing that by default as soon as I load up it, okay? And also the explanation of it. So what does that particular tag mean for me, right? So if I just call this up, you can get this. So each of these individual texts gonna have a particular meaning here. So now this 1 million lines of text gonna say CD is a cardinal number, lines is nothing but a plural noun, and off is a conjunction, text is a noun, singular or mass. So this is how it is, right? Great. So again, on top of this, we have 2 more important things: prefer GPU and the require GPU. So again, if you have very high computational requirement, right, you can also prefer or require GPU as per your computational requirement, right? So prefer GPU, it will prefer GPU. I mean, as the name suggests, it's going to prefer GPU over CPU if you have an option. Require, on the other hand, it will mandatorily look for GPU, and if you don't have a GPU, it will give you an error. Likewise, you can see when I run this, I got an error because here in my system I don't have a GPU, right? It's not accessible, so it's going to give you an error. Right, so we have another thing. So Rishi, I just wanted to say that SQL Village is the best on YouTube. I've wasted so many hours on it, like in one video and trash, but through it I got the concept. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, Rishi. Thank you for the good words. Great, that's motivating. Cool, let's proceed with this. Now we also talked about the visualization effect, the visualization things on top of my SpaCy, right? But again, just to give you Rishi, so we're gonna be doing, so weekends we are doing the SQL, right? So we'll be talking about SQL tomorrow. So 10 a.m. onwards tomorrow, we'll be doing the SQL Lead Code premium questions, right? So do not forget to join. Please ask your friends also to join tomorrow 10 a.m. onwards. So we'll be doing the premium level questions. Cool. Coming back. So yes, so I was talking about SpaCy also does give you the visualization content, right? So that is through DisplayCy. So DisplayCy is again another module which is part of your SpaCy and helping you to find out the visualization concept of your NLP techniques, right? Which is actually missing in another module. So this is very configurable, and you have multiple options. You can actually fine tune your graph itself the way you want to see the dependencies, right? It is very optimizable. I'll just show it to you. For example, what I've done is, again, I've just loaded this text on top of my NLP module, which is nothing but a core English SM module. And I've just done DisplayCy.serve. It is serving on a particular URL, so basically on a local host. And I'm just displaying this doc, and it is by default, it'll be taking out the interactions and displaying it to you. Let me just show it to you. You can see this. So all of this, hello, how are you? It's gonna be giving the interactions. So R is connected to my hello. It's an interjection. That adverbs here and subject noun. So all of this is basically giving you an interaction kind of a study, right? So that is through a very beautiful DisplayCy.serve. You again look at this. Look at the code. Hardly 2 lines of code. Just remove this for now, right? Hardly 3 lines of code. Did I do anything fancy here? Nothing fancy, right? It's very simple. Very simple. As soon as you load up this text, you can simply call this and it will by default take the things in the background. Cool. It's that simple. It's that strong, right? That is where DisplayCy comes. And again, you can still modify this entire graph, right? You can just find out, you can change the shape, size, color, background, font, whatever you want, right? It's very customizable. I'll show it to you again. You can see this. I can also pass certain options on top of this serve, right? I can make it to compact mode, change the background color. I can change the front color, the font change, everything. I can just pass it on top of it. If I've done it, the same graph now looks like this, right? I can still customize this. There's a lot of customization possible in this. Like I'll have written some very interesting options available also. I'll show it to you, but it's very customizable, guys. It's very fancy, very fast, and is very, I would say, interactive and very strong module. Cool. Also, very good thing here is you can talk about the visualization named entities. So here, if you talk about the proper noun, so basically the names of your particular content, like for example, the text. Look at this text. We have heard this text. We have read about this text in the last session also, right? Ram killed Ravan to save Sita from Lanka and lot of other things. So now from this, I want only the named entities to be highlighted. So like Ram, Ravan, Lanka, Ramayan, all the named entities, right? Name of a person, place and thing, nouns. So that is where I want things to be highlighted. So in this case, I can simply call DisplayCy.serve, and in the style, I'm going to call ENT. Nothing but ENT is referring to my entities, my named entities. That's it. Nothing more than that, right? As soon as I do it, just look at the beauty of it. It's going to highlight the named entities for me from the entire text, right? And also you can see the the differences in your colors of your different entities, right? So GPE, my person, my political region. So all of these are in fact being highlighted very easily for you. Very customizable, and you did nothing here. Hardly 1 line of code, right? And that to 1 argument change. I just changed from style from dependencies to entity. I just got it like this. Cool. Very simple. Very friendly. Very interactive. Right? So basically here we have 2 methods, DisplayCy.serve and DisplayCy.render. So serve kya karta hai? Basically it is serving you on a local host. You can actually still publish it, right? So you can publish it if you want to make it public, or if you want to share it across your some clients, right? You can still define your serving port at IP address and all that in the configurations. You can still serve it. But here render, what it does, it returns on the same HTML window, right? So it does not serve on something. So it'll return the same thing, but on a as a HTML output, right? So that's what it does on the render. So you know what is render, right? So more of that. So same thing, but serve and render, again, we can see it's very customizable. You can always share this platform. You can share the results very easily. Cool. So as I was talking about the visualizer options, so we did see about the BG, nothing but the background color. Then we talked about my color. We talked about the compact mode. We saw font, right? Likewise, we have some other things. We can also add the lemma. Nothing but for each of the tokens, we can add the lemma words for it. We can do the collapse of my punctuation, collapse of my phrases. So we can remove the punctuations straight away with just a argument we want to pass. And also we can also change the arrow width, arrow spacing, arrow stroke, lot of things. You can customize the entire graph as much as you can. Very, very, very friendly, very interactive, right? Cool. So also we saw about some of the utility functions. So there we checked about my language classes, right? So this is again a by default utility functions available in my SpaCy. So like here we checked about the classes, the language classes. So for example, for a pertain word, because we heard about the module being loaded here, right? So basically I loaded this English core SM module, right? What if I don't know what this word is, right? So what module I have to load? So in this case, I can also check the language class. So I can just pass in the word and maybe a list of word or just a word. And from this, I can call this utility function like get language class is going to give me the language class here. Can you see this? So this the belongs to my SpaCy lang the German, right? So this is the basically my module which I should be loading up for my purpose of solving the things, right? So you can just always get the language class also from this. And then here, if you still do not know and you want to specify a particular class on the set of the text you have, you can always set also the language class. So here I have just set English as my base class. So whatever text I'm going to pass is going to use the core SM English module for solving up the things, right? So that's how it should be doing it. Cool. And then we have something called a load model. So we've already seen that. So we're going to load the model like this. So model is nothing but again the core English SM. Likewise, we'll be having for different models for different languages depending on the support we have. And also if you have something a very custom model on your own local system, so you can always call from a path. So you can load the model from a path. You can specify the path to data here. So whatever you have. And then also from this, you can get the meta files. So basically a meta.json file where you have all the dependencies, all I would say the definition of your model in that per se, right? So more of an info for your model. So you can get it. So you can always get the meta.json file of your model if you just call this get model meta. Cool. So now let's talk about doc specifically. Ab doc ke andar kya kya aata hai? We have already seen text. You remember we were doing for all of this, we were printing individual things. So we were printing what? So we were doing text, tag, explain. You were doing all of these things. So word kya hai? Word basically एक token है. Token किसका आ रहा है? Doc का आ रहा है, right? So basically इस doc के अंदर मेरे पास ये modules available है already. Something fancy, something interesting. Let me just show it to you. So doc के अंदर text है. Text is nothing but it represents the text value. Okay. And likewise, we have sentiment. So we have doc.sentiment. It is talking about my individual sentiment value of my text, right? Again, positive, negatives. It will give you some number of that. It has some internal calculation for it. Tensor will give you the actually doc to tensor value. Let me just show it to you. So for example, here, this is my first example I'm taking up. And I've just taken the slicer 4. So 4 is what? Example. So I'm just using this particular text token example. I'm just going to call it. If you're going to see here, this give you the tensor value, right? And then if you're going to call basically text is going to give you the text value. Again, it's part of my inbuilt functionalities of my document here. What does text value mean? What do you mean by text? You mean sentiment? Sentiment again is a calculation, the positive or a negative sentiment basically. So again, very good thing with the SpaCy it has inbuilt classifier also. It actually does the sentiment analysis, basically give you a positive or a negative sentiment. It's like more towards +1 or -1, right? Some that kind of a thing. It gives you that. Cool. Cool. Again, doc has a very, very strong functionality ends. So we have seen ends already, right? So remember we did displacy.serve where we gave the option as ends. So when we saw ends, we were getting the named entities, right? So likewise, if you call doc.ends, right? So here, just look at this. I'm gonna print ends here. So if you're gonna do this, what you should be getting. So ends is nothing but my Arpit Jain. So basically the name here, right? So the named entity. Right, it does that automatically. This end's gonna find you the named entities, and this is where when I'm called the label. So basically, what is the label of this this named entity is called as person. So this is actually a person, right? And it is rightly identified at. You're getting it? So that's how it is. And I have not done anything. Are you seeing this? If I just remove it, I have not done anything, right? I'm just calling a result. I'm not processing it. I'm not asking this module to do these things for me, right? I'm just calling the results, displaying the results, right? I'm not doing anything here. I'm just displaying the results. So because as soon as I load up this model, right, it is already doing these things for you. As I've told you, there is a pipeline of things which is happening in the background. There's like a POS tagger, what all things were there? So tokenization, POS tagger, my attribute matcher. So a lot of things happens in the background already by default for you. Just keep on calling the results, right? And likewise here, you do not have any named entity, right? And here it's like, hello, how are you? So there's no named entity here, right? When I'm going to call this, it's going to give you an empty list because there's no named entity here, right? It's more of a sentence for me. Cool. So this is for the named entity. Also, we have something called as the noun chunks. If you want to specify specific nouns for my sentences, I can just call this noun chunks function also, right? So basically you can call entities for the named person, named entities, and noun chunks for my specifying the noun phrases in my sentences, right? So now if you're going to call this, just look at this. So here, I'm going to print this chunks for now. Let's see this. So India is my first noun phrase, and a beautiful country is my second noun phrase, right? So it's basically my two noun phrases here. And now it's again a list. So if I want to call up my first a noun chunk as a text, so I'm going to call as an index 0. And if I want to call the first one, I'm going to call chunk1.text, basically giving me the second chunk, right? It's that simple. Cool. Also, doc has a function of sense. Sense nothing but identifying my individual sentences from my documentation. So chunk, noun chunks, ents and sense. Sense basically if you have multiple sentences in your text, right? So by default, if you call sense, is gonna take something like this dot /n/r as your line breaker, and it's gonna tell you how many sentences are there, right? So basically counting the sentences, and then you can work on these individual sentences as well. So sense gonna identify the sentences in your module. Cool. Great. So after doc, let's check some of the token attributes. Token attributes be very interesting. Let's figure it out. Again, as I've told you, so text, sentiment, tensor, we have already dekh liya, so I'm not gonna talk about this. But after this, we have already seen this, so let's just skip this up. We have something called as token.whitespace. Yeah, this is actually interesting. Let's look at this. So it's more of cleaning up my space, right? So we have the white spaces here. So as the name implies, it's gonna be the trailing space character, if any present, right? So I'm gonna just unlock this for now. So now if you're gonna call token.whitespace, is not gonna be a thing because I don't have any leading white space. Now if you're gonna call this, and now I'm gonna call token.whitespace, can you see this? Now I have some leading white spaces here, right? So finding out it's more like working as a dot strip function for me, right? So it's more of finding out the white spaces, leading white spaces. Likewise, token.head is going to give me the parent of my synthetic parent of my token. And likewise, the left edge, my right edge is going to give me the leftmost token. It's going to give me the rightmost token. And then I'm going to give me the lemma of the words. So here, what is the lemma? And then I'm going to have whether this token is of upper character, of my lower character, and whether it is a punctuation, what is the POS tagging, and what is the POS, what is the tagging for this. So all of these functions are part of my individual token. So here, we were doing all of these as a different modules in NLTK, if you remember, right? So for example, finding the lemma of it, like limitization, you are importing the WordNet limitizer in NLTK, right? And here it's already doing it for you by default. And also checking what is the spacing. So is upper, it'll give you false because it's not upper. If you do lower, yes, because it is lower first, it's lower, right? And is it punctuation? No, it's not punctuation. And what is the POS tagging of it? It's give you adjective, it is an adjective. And what is the tagging of it? It's basically JJ. You will find out, then you can explain this JJ, right? What is JJ? You can just find out what is this JJ. And likewise, this is a very, very interesting thing, guys. So you can find out the details of it. So all of these functionalities are by default available for me. Cool. Simple, but again, very strong functionalities is again by default doing it for you. Okay, I'm quickly wrapping this up because there's nothing too much to explain in this. I believe you guys are only anyway understanding it, so I'm quickly wrapping this up. Chalo, ek interesting cheez I want to talk about is regarding the similarity, right? So you talked about the synonyms, right? So synonyms we were doing in my NLTK package, right? So where we are finding out what is the similarity, and then eventually scoring, evaluating that similarity, right? So here it is actually, we have this functionality available. So this, we have a module called as similarity. We can directly call the similarity functionality and give you how the two things are similar, how similar these two things are. So it'll give you a number. So basically 1 being the max here and 0 being the lowest, right? So let me just show it. For example, I've loaded the model again. I'm finding all the similarity between my apples and bananas. Cool. Now if you're just gonna run this module, you're gonna find out that yes, 30% they are similar. It's going to score you these things, right? So it's going to find out what is the similarity between my apples and bananas. Likewise, I've done it for the bikes and the cars also, just to show it. Very simple thing, guys. Similarity is again a very beautiful module. It's more of giving me the synonyms. Synonyms में नहीं है, synonyms का भी आपको मैं बताऊं, more of the technical version of synonyms where you're scoring how closer these two terminologies are, right? This is what you need from a data science perspective, how close it is. What is the probability of being apple being the banana, more of like that sort. Right? Likewise, if you call this car and the bike, you're going to find out, yes, the car and the bikes are roughly 35% similar. Right? So this is how it has scored. Again, don't ask me the maths behind this. Again, there's a whole lot of stats which is being happening in the background, which is scoring you the cars and bike similarly. Right? Likewise, you can just call n number of things, whatever you want. You can just keep on finding the similarity between this. Cool. Sure. Let's quickly look at some of the properties of my token. So something called as ancestors, right? So ancestors, as the name suggests, is going to find out the rightmost token of my token's syntactic descendants. So you remember we were talking about the syntactic and the semantic analysis. Syntactic more of my, I would say, grammatical ancestor, right? And semantic more of a framing, like sentence framing ancestor. So here we're talking about the grammatical ancestor. So how my individual token has been grammatically or more of a dictionary wise connected to a particular descendant. So that's where it's going to find out my syntactic descendant, this ancestor. Okay. And it's again part of my NLTK, SpaCy module by default. I've not done anything. See, these 3 lines are anyway common for me, right? I'm not doing anything fancy. It's like the same thing. I'm just doing it, right? So, and here again, since ancestors and these all things are iterator object, because there could be multiple ancestors, there could be multiple of descendants, right? So there could be like one word is connected to some other words also. Cool. So in this way, it's more of an iteratable object. So if I have to find out the exact text of my ancestor, I have to again call it over a loop. So if you see the type of my ancestor, right, this will be more of an iterable object. So now to get the exact text, I'm going to call the text function of individual text, the word here. So now for the first of my words, so nothing but my is, the syntactic descendant is coming as the asked. So that's how the ancestors are being found out. So more of a syntactic descendant, more of a connector for me. The second is conjunctions. So how the conjunctions are being figured out. So basically again, it's going to return a coordinated tokens, tuple of the coordinated tokens, and let's see how does it give you the results as. Right. So for my cars, my conjunctions are my bikes. This is more of the tuple of my coordinated tokens. Again, it's doing the internal calculations. I'm going to figure out what is my conjuncts of individual tokens. And again, I can call it on the entire loop. For each of the word, I can keep on storing it as a list and then call the list whenever I want it. So I can just use it however way you want. So again, it's more of a property attribute of my token available. So ancestors, conjunctions, and then we have the children's. So children, now I have the ancestors, second is my children, right? So what are my children from a particular token? So basically, it's going to return the sequence of tokens immediate syntactic children. So if we are talking about immediate syntactic descendants, now we're talking about immediate syntactic children. So what comes next post this? So what is the more grammatical, I would say, closest token compared for this? If you want to look at this, so for my this individual word, I'm talking about the R. So the immediate children are what? There and cars, right? So these are my immediate childrens for me, right? So likewise, it's going to find out, and again, it's not just because there is on the left hand side and the cars on the right hand side of my R. No, it is finding out the logical connection between this. So if I mean, how are can be used. So there's more grammatically connected to their cars. So their cars is not making more sense. So there are cars, right? So it's like more of a grammatical sense in this. So let's just look at from this perspective. So it's giving you the more grammatical correct version of your descendants, immediate descendants. Cool. So that's what token children is doing. And then we have token lefts is going to give you the immediate children leftward. And then I'm going to have token rights. I'm going to give you the immediate rightward children, right? And then we have the subtree. So subtree is basically giving you the sequence that contains that token. So basically the entire sequence where this token is specifically present. Let's look at this, for example. So again, I have this R, right? So this is present in this entire sequence of my words. Basically, there are cars and bikes. It's the entire sequence of tokens where this particular token is available. Sequence of all the tokens, which is the synthetic descendants of, and the logical connectors of my the tokens for which I'm finding all the information. Cool. So very simple, guys. Again, it's not the only list. So have just written the major of my lists available here. Ancestors, conjunctions, then children. Children, maybe I have lefts and right children, and then I can talk about the subtree where all the connectors, all the logical connectors are present. Connectors here again nothing but my individual tokens I have. Cool. So this is actually, I would say, the it of my functionalities available in SpaCy, and that's it. So you just try to compare with NLTK. NLTK, you had enormous amount of functionalities, right? You just keep on calling for everything. You have to call a separate module and then just keep on doing the things, right? But here it's very simple, right? So as soon as you load up your module, the basic core model, it's gonna do the job for you, right? You're not doing anything on top of it. You just finding out the results, printing the results on top of that, nothing fancy, right? Cool. Chalo. Now that's about the concept. Now let's start doing something, right? So let's start thinking how we can implement these things. So I have also written some of the action things for me. So like how we do things here. Cool. So the सबसे पहले क्या है POS tagging. So POS tagging को हम कैसे कैसे देख सकते हैं इसमें, right? So अब simple क्या है? आपको याद होगा, I have told you we have basically for each document, the index is basically a token, right? So each of the indexes are nothing but a token. So on this token, I can call the POS underscore nothing but my part of speech tag, right? So I can also print this like it. For example, can you see? So each of these individual tokens, I love to play cricket. So I is a pronoun, love is a verb. Again, I've printed it like this with a very fancy symbol, right? So to play cricket. So all of this is being now tagged with a part of speech. Cool. And for any reason, if I don't know what is this, like PRON, I don't know what is PRON. So I can always use the function explain. Explain PRON. It is a pronoun. Explain PART. What is this? It is particle. So basically, to is a particle for me. And particle is again a grammatical gerund for me, right? Okay, so SpaCy is like an automatic property generator for sentences. I wouldn't say an automatic property generator, but it has a pipeline module kind of a thing. I've shown you, right? So if you just see spacy.info, it's going to give you the information of my pipeline structure. So as soon as you load up this module, right, it's going to do the same job, some jobs for you. Again, it's like an automatic thing only, but it is not giving you any result, right? So now it has done the thing in the background. Now, if you want any specific results to be taken care of, to be displayed, you can just keep on calling the functionalities of it to render the output. That's it. So you're not doing on the fly. That happening of the things is already being done. Now with the functionalities, you're printing the results. That's it. That's how it is fast, is it actually? Cool. Second क्या है मेरे पास? We have the dependency parsing. अब again dependency parsing क्या है मैं आपको quickly दिखाता हूँ. Same example में करते हैं. I love cricket. To play cricket. So now I have for the POS tagging. Now I have done a dependency parsing. अब again suppose मुझे n sub नहीं पता है. So let's do this. क्या कर दिया मैंने? Okay. So SpaCy dot explain n sub j. It's like nominal subject for me. Likewise, I don't know what is root. I can do it's not coming up, so like AUX auxiliary, then I have X comp, so like open clausal complement, right? So it's more of a dependency parsings for me. Even these things are being happening in the background, right? So dependency parsings. If you do not know what are these terminologies, what is the POS tag, what is the meaning of this tagger and all that, so you can always call up the explain functionality on top of the available functions here. So dependency parsing is quite good. Cool. That's the second action which you can do. So more of a POS tagging, my dependency parsing. The next is named entities. We've already seen this, just I've written it again. So more of the thing which you can always think of an action item for your SpaCy. Again, I'm not doing anything. I'm just calling up the ent function. So for ent in doc.ents. So here ents is nothing but is finding out my individual entities. So here cricket is one of the most popular sport in India. So here from this, India has been figured out as my named entity India, and what is GPE. And then again, for example, again, if you do not know what is GPE, you can always call SpaCy dot explain GPE. It's like countries, cities, and state. That's what we call as GPE. Cool. Simple है. Third action. Next क्या है हमारे पास? Rule based matching. Very interesting यार. Rule based matching. अब suppose if you want to figure out any particular pattern of your word together. Suppose एक मैंने क्या लोड किया है इसमें So I like to play any outdoor sport during weekend, right? And now I want to figure out that any particular text, so whatever document I have, and if it has outdoor and sport together, give me that, right? So figure out all the document wherever I have outdoor and sport together, like more of a pattern matching for me, right? So I have a matcher functions available. So what it does, so here I'm going to give the two pattern, which is nothing but my individual text. So outdoor and sport in more of a dictionary pattern, which is part of my list, a list of dictionaries, right? And I've created this as a rule. So rule 1 for my pattern. And as soon as I call this matcher function of my doc, nothing but this is the doc for me. I like to play outdoor sport. And this is giving me the indexes value for this. Is going to give me the matches. Okay. I have to just load this matcher again. Right, it just give me the indexes. And now what is this? And look at this. I'm just going to call the same doc on top of this where my ID starts. And here I'm going to see outdoor sport. In the same, I'll just call it again the same doc. If I do not have outdoor sport in any of the doc, it will not give you any results. So it's basically it's giving you the indexes, the places where exactly this text is being matched out. So a pattern matcher for you. Right, so we have this functionality also available. So look at this from an implementation perspective. Like you have again millions of lines of sentences where you want to figure out any specific pattern to be matched out. So like one particular phrase of sentence to be matched out, right? And then you can just want to bring that out and then use it for any particular purpose. You can always do that with the matcher, right? The next very important thing is pre-processing. Right, in the pre-processing we talked about stop words, punctuations and all that, right? So we have again those things already predefined again in SpaCy. So for the stop words, we have something called as stop words again available. So it's like spacy.lang. Lang is again the submodule. In the lang we're going to use English. Again here you can use again Deutsch, anything, any language. So German, Italian, Norwegian, so whatever language you feel like, you can always, which is actually being supported by SpaCy, you can always import this module and use the stop words functionality. And from this, I'm going to actually call the stop words, okay? And this is nothing but my stop words. So there's the length of my stop words. I'm going to find it out from here. So I just print this. I'm going to get 326. So that's the list of the words which I have. And again, I can print this list. So which is again part of my stop words. But this is the few top words for me. So like herein, he showed, hours, 12, toward, everyone, she, became, however. So these are my stop words. Again, a very standard list. Again, this can be very much customized against this. Again, it's just a list, right? So you can always customize this, but it's still very strong. So you can always use it is as it is. It's for my stop words, right? Again, this is a function. So token is stop. So we have seen is dot punctuation, and then here is dot stop, is underscore stop. So it's going to give you a boolean basically, so true or false. If it is stop is true, then this is basically a stop word. So you're going to remove it, right? So for example, look at this. So I have the same text here, Rama killed Ravan and all that. So I have this document. So now here it's nothing but my doc file. Now what I'm doing here for this, so for each of my token text, I'm printing whether it is a stop word or whether it is a punctuation word. Is underscore stop and is underscore punctuation. Cool. If I'm gonna run this, for each of my words, I'll be finding out whether it is a stop word or a punctuation. Can you see this? 2 is marked as a stop word, right? Likewise, this dot is marked as a punctuation, right? So for each of this, it's that simple. Just is stop as a function and is punct as a function for me. And if I just call it over a loop like this, so my doc cleaned is token for token in my doc. So basically for each of my words in this, if not token dot is stop, or if and not token is dot punctuation. So here I'm going to remove all the words, all the token which is not token or not stop words. Cool. And now from this doc cleaned, if I'm going to print the text, now the entire text is just reduced to this particular information here. So now this entire bigger text which was here and now is now being removed to this smaller text only, which is cleaned in terms of stop words and the punctuations. Got it? It's that simple. Okay, so if I want to use the matcher to find which was nearly similar meaning but not necessarily same words, how to frame that matcher ruler? Again, we're gonna use the similarity function here. So matcher with clubbed with the similarity. We talked about the similarity, right? So we can define a similarity rule in a regex explainer again. So it's more of a customized rule for you, right? So you can always define a threshold of my similarity. So maybe similarity is more than 20%, 30%, 40%, or 40-50% whatsoever. You can make a list on top of it and then define the matches. More of an amendment on top of a loop. So for each of the similarity percentage, you're going to take the word, append it into a list, then pass this list on top of my matcher rule, right? So it's going to be, again, depending on the similarity percentage, whatever you decide, but you can always do that. Okay, Swapnil says, hi sir, after 4 years experience as software engineer, after switch career as data scientist, how you look? Yeah, why not? Absolutely, absolutely you can do that. It's again, because data science, maybe you'll be doing the coding only, right? So on top of the data science skill set, which is nothing but stats, ML, Python and SQL. So I believe absolutely it is never too late to be part of the data science field. But again, look forward to the mandatory skill sets which are required. So those are statistics, machine learning, Python and SQL. If you feel that you're good enough, so it's never too late, right? Cool. The sixth action is limitization. Again, a very, very interesting thing, guys. So we have already seen the strong points of limitization in my NLTK package, right? So now here, what is a limitization? Basically giving my root word, dictionary root word of individual text, right? So what I'm doing here is, for each of my tokens in the text, I'm printing the token and also token.lemma, my lemma word, so or the dictionary root word of individual characters. For example, Ram ka to Rami reh jayega, killed ka kill ho gaya, save from Lanka, the legend of the Ramayana, और तो कुछ interesting दिख नहीं रहा है मुझे. Movies got replaced to movie, serials got to serial. Yeah, so simple है, इसमें तो ज़्यादा कुछ दिखा नहीं, but again it's very strong. So limitization is anyway strong, so you know that, right? So here, if I'm just simply using the word token.lemma, it's gonna give me the root words of individual texts, individual tokens I have. Cool. Again, a very good action point for us. The last is the word frequency, guys. So again, for each of my, the data here, I can just call the functionalities also. So like the count, the functions, the word frequency. Again here, directly it's not available, so we're going to import the collections ka counter function. Okay, so here the last is word frequency, like more of the word counts, right? So here tokens मुझे पता है. सबसे पहले मैंने क्या किया, मैंने डेटा को clean कर लिया, right? So token again same thing, is dot stop and is dot punctuation को delete कर दिया मैंने. And then on top of this, I'm counting counter of words. So here it's going to give me a dictionary, basically with have the words with the counting of my words, right? So and then I'm going to print the most common words here. So Ramayan is being repeated twice, then Ram, then killed, Ravan, then save, right? And then also I can find out the unique words, like what all my unique words if the frequency is equal to 1. So basically all of my unique words here being printed. Cool. So that's about it, guys. So again, the same things which we have done so far on NLTK package, we have the similar set of functionalities, the work which can also be done on SpaCy, but much faster way, much, I would say, stronger and accurate way. I would say, again, still won't promote it, but it's very faster, I would say, in that sense. It's more user friendly and it's a strong and the high level API available, right? So that's it from the SpaCy classes we have. Any questions we can take up that. So we have a question. Hi sir, कल SQL में questions थोड़ा ज़्यादा करेंगे क्या? एक घंटे में अगर थोड़े ज़्यादा question हो जाते तो beneficial हो जाते मेरे मंडे के interview के लिए. हाँ, Swarup, actually, so we'll be doing that. In fact, I was thinking to have at least 3 to 4 hours of lecture tomorrow. But again, so we have 2 sessions planned as always. Let's see कल कितना कर पाते हैं. But I was planning to extend it a bit. So we'll do that. So we join at 10 a.m. tomorrow, and then we'll see how long we can stretch it. Omkar, Unacademy course for data science beginners. Okay, so beginners में मैं आपको बताऊँ, so it always start with statistics. That has not been started. So Omkar, I mean, I was still a bit hesitant to go with the pure concepts because I've seen a very drastic change in the viewership when you go from hands-on coding to the lectures, the theoretical part. So that's why I'm a bit hesitant to go for the pure lecture and the theoretical classes. But still, I mean, let's see how we can take that. संडे भी रहेगा सर? हाँ जी, संडे को भी रहेगा, बट टाइमिंग थोड़ा चेंज रहेगा उसका. तो संडे को मॉर्निंग में नहीं होगा, 10 AM से नहीं होगा. संडे को इवनिंग में होगा, आई थिंक मोस्टली बाय 9-10 PM, है ना. बट आई चेक दैट. यस, फॉर सीक्वल ओनली. संडे को भी सीक्वल होगा, बट मॉर्निंग में नहीं होगा, इवनिंग में होगा संडे को. ठीक है, चलो. Done, guys. I think we're pretty much good. Any other questions? We can take that. Great. Otherwise, we are good. So let's meet tomorrow, guys. 10 a.m. sharp. Do not forget. So 10 a.m. we're going to start the premium questions on the lead code. Okay. So I've prepared a separate playlist for this. So we're going to be doing the separate playlist for the premium questions, guys. Sure. So let's meet tomorrow at the same time. There. Great, thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Swaroop. Thank you, Chandramali. Great, thank you so much, guys. Great, so we'll be waiting for you guys tomorrow, 10 a.m. So do not forget to join. So, and please do share it with your friends. Do call your friends. Tell them that we'll be starting at 10 a.m. and be prepared for the lecture. So we'll be doing the premium questions tomorrow. Cool. Great. Bye-bye. Good night.